Hello, everyone. Welcome to Project Call number 7. We are excited to have you back, and we're back on our normal schedule of project calls on Thursdays, every other Thursday. And first off, we just want to say thank you to everyone. This is the first call since the Polymorphs have launched, and I want to say I don't think it could have been more successful. I think it blew away all of our expectations, and we just want to, say thank you to the community. We couldn't have done it without you guys, and the months of support and you guys waiting for us to come back around and finally drop some NFTs. The support was overwhelming. We like that, but we just want to say thank you to everyone, and we appreciate everyone, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep building, and just a congrats to the whole team. 4 months of working, it was finally good to see the fruits of our labor. So just everyone definitely deserves a pat on the back, and we're ready for the next one. So without further ado, I'll let Tyler kind of take over this call because I think he has some things to address about the polymorphs and the community and airdrops.
Yeah, so I don't want to run all calls in the future, just from the perspective of slowly rolling this out as a community project. And the bigger thing that I want to make sure is that it's super clear to the community that I'm not taking credit for everything that happened on all of these Twitter spaces and even in the Discords. A lot of the stuff that we're rolling out is very much collectively decided. It's been months of work, even some of the stuff we're talking about with the airdrops. When some of the FUD was essentially coming in, and I mean, it was days of battling it. I'm going to jump in and stick up for the team. So I was the most publicly outspoken, but I don't want people to think that this stuff is singularly being pushed forward by me. Pretty much everyone on the call, on top of people that don't even join this call, a lot of the designers, a lot of the front end developers, even George, who's Zico's counterpart, isn't even on this call, and he's the one that brought polymorphs to the forefront. So I want to give a special shout out to the team, because I very much stepped into the, I mean, you could call it the limelight, but it felt like the line of fire. I just wanted to jump in and get everything explained properly. So since we're on the kind of public call and people consume information in different ways, the biggest piece of pushback about NFTs when we first dropped is that I think that people had essentially a set way of how they measured rarity for projects, how they essentially went about kind of ranking their NFTs or deciding which ones they thought were cool. And when we launched Polymorphs, I think I said that at the time it was the most technologically advanced NFT to ever drop. And I think that it threw a lot of the NFT community off and how some of the dynamics work. And in my opinion, I think that that's really cool and special. I think that there's been some really innovative NFTs that have rolled out over the past couple years that I've followed. I was very, very involved in the punk community and used to own, I don't know, 20 something punks. And my favorite thing about punks was that the community pushed forward a lot of what we now know as rarity. Yes, the team did it, but there also was self-discovery within the community, all the rarity tools and a lot of those things were not established by the Larva Labs team at the onset, essentially. And so I think that my favorite thing about polymorphs is that this isn't going to be something that evolves in a day. We drop something completely different than what originally existed. And it's not just going to be us, it's going to be the community, and also like usage and like preference of these products that actually makes people, you know, prefer one over another, essentially. And so I think that if you look at like kind of the progression of what I would call like technologically added NFTs, you have like punks that introduced like a lot to the ecosystem. That they'll always kind of be the Bitcoin of NFTs. I think they're amazing. And then you have like Jimmy, who launched Avastars that really push for like on-chain metadata. The way that they actually like minted those NFTs with like layered SVGs, and you would scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to find them. I actually want to say that in the article that I wrote, the Avastars, they're continuing to get minted. I basically said that you can kind of like game how like the scrolling function works now. That wasn't like a knock on the Avastars project. That was actually kind of me tipping my hat to, it was an extremely cool launch. And I don't think anybody could do it again, because the bots like have already started to try to like game those and put them on the Avastars market. But that's just an example of like an extension to what like CryptoPunks did, right? And then you have like hash masks that were really the first ones that maybe even started. Well, what they did that was cool is they paired the NFT with an ERC20 that let you kind of customize it and change your name about it. And they put a lot of effort into that drop. And then I would say Bored Ape Yacht Club was probably, in my opinion, the first group that really got it right and was like, hey, like NFTs are driven by the community, and they almost went full-fledged putting all of their effort into the community. And so if you kind of look at how all of these things rolled out, you then start seeing a lot of other projects that are emulating some of the aspects of like the past and the old projects, but if they weren't from a technology perspective. Some of the art is amazing, and I love a lot of these NFTs. From a technology perspective, they weren't quite doing what we did, where we completely changed the like characteristics of how these things work. And so I think that threw a lot of people off, that especially like collectors that had gotten into a groove of like, this is how we do X, Y, and Z. This is how we do this. And so naturally there was like some backlash, confusion, like FUD. That's what FUD is. It's fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so I think we did a really good job of explaining these things and how they work. And I mean, we don't have to go into too much detail on this call, otherwise then I'll talk about things at a high level. But I'd also invite everybody to like read the most recent like Medium article on how these things work. But essentially, like some of the terminology that I think that has come about has been pretty amazing. Like I actually never thought that like non-scrambled or non-morphed NFTs would be what people wanted. I personally almost saw those like floor punks because you have to essentially use the NFT, morph it, and like scramble it in order to get one that actually looks better. So the way that like our NFTs work is more from like a proof of work perspective, where you actually have to utilize ETH and you actually have to play around with it and figure out like what you want and what the outcomes could be in order to actually have one that like looks really, really cool. But I do understand the concept that like some of the ones that look really cool as virgins off the rip, you know, would actually be something that people would covet. And I think that that's similar to like punks. That's going to be something that people figure out over time. Like when they originally dropped those, like everybody kind of thought the aliens were going to be the most popular. And then people started looking into like, you know, 5, 6 attributes are actually like more rare than aliens. And I think some of that will happen here, where when you drop something new, it's not just us that is deciding it. And I actually think that is one of the coolest things about the project. And Ali did a really good job of explaining that on one of the Twitter spaces, that essentially unlike a lot of the projects that have come before us, where like with Bored Apes, you have a gold ape, with like punks, you have like an ape and like an alien. Well, like the projects decided what was rare and what was cool in that scenario and what was coveted. With polymorphs, it's very much going to be like the community and the ecosystem that drives that. And I think there's something inherently special about that. But let me just check down some like points just from the agenda, so I make sure we go through it all. But virgins are essentially like polymorphs that have never been scrambled and never been morphed. And like that's an example of a community driven thing in and of itself, because we didn't make that word up. Like that actually came from the community. I think G Money started calling them virgins, and now it is what it is. Scrambling, for those who are kind of just watching this for the first time, one of the things that's interesting about polymorphs is that you can scramble every single like trait in your polymorph. So you can basically take it and you can scramble all traits and attributes. There's also morphing, which is changing a single trait. And so scrambling works on a flat curve. It's essentially 0.01 ETH to just reset your polymorph and reset the bonding curve. Morphing works on a bonding curve, where I think the first scramble is like the first morph is, so you want to change like what's in your polymorph's hand. You want to change the shirt. That's like 0.02 ETH. The next one, since it's a bonding curve, is like up, right? Like 0.04. Then 0.0. Well, I don't know the exact math. I mean, we can release all of that, but essentially it becomes more and more expensive to essentially change individual attributes. So what that causes is basically a game theory where you have to scramble and try to morph it into a perfect polymorph. And so when you're looking at like rarity, it's not any individual trait that's actually rare, right? Like no like helmet is more rare, no character is more rare. What then becomes rare is the pairing of traits. So like this is the only like marijuana with like a weed shirt and 2 bongs in their hand. Like that doesn't even exist yet, that marijuana with a weed shirt and 2 bongs in their hand. And I've talked to a lot of people, and that's essentially what they want, right? A lot of people. And so if somebody essentially morphs that, in my opinion, that will probably be the most coveted like polymorph, like up to that point in time. But then people are going to do more and more advanced things. They're essentially like, I want to make like a full monkey astronaut with 2 bananas in its hand. But another thing that's really interesting is if everybody morphs to these full sets, you can also morph to like lack of sets, right? Like I know that one of the guys in our Discord literally said something that I was thinking about doing, which was making the diamond fox in their underwear with no shirt, no hat, no pants, no shoes, with 2 diamonds in their hand. Like, so as we play around with it, you're essentially going to be able to make like coveted polymorphs based on individual like trait pairing, as opposed to traits in and of themselves as individuals. And so that is extremely game breaking. But for people to say there's no rarity when it comes to these things is honestly just not looking at it the same way. And another additional aspect of all of this is that to add to the rarity components, we map this on an entire genome where we can add additional traits. Like we can add the polymorph having a pet. We could add, I mean, if you essentially look at it, like they could have earrings, they could have a belt, like bracelets. So a lot of that stuff has not actually even been introduced. It will be decided by the DAO when we essentially introduce those types of things. So what will be interesting about that actually is that then when you scramble, like maybe a pet shows up, right? So the full morphs without pets actually may end up being the most coveted one, which may throw a massive wrench into everybody's opinion, don't scramble the virgins, because then if you wait on it, then it's going to be harder to get like a monkey in an astronaut suit with 2 bananas without like a dog, for instance. So I don't think anybody has this figured out yet. I think that we're all figuring it out in real time, but I just want to be like very clear that there is not rarity, because rarity tools doesn't know how to calculate it, or other people don't know how to calculate it. There's absolutely rarity to these things. And then, yeah, I think, I mean, I went over sets, ideas. Future development is very much like, we didn't announce any of this when we started it. I mean, I'm not even sure that we knew where all of this was going to go exactly when we started it. So like, we didn't launch this with like a dev roadmap like I've seen other projects do. We really just wanted to see like what the reception was and where we could go from there. But I personally like love this project like a lot. And I didn't come up with the idea. I didn't make the designs. I didn't write any of the code. I'm a community member like everyone else. I don't even get paid by Universe. So like, I legitimately just want to work on this because I think it's the coolest fucking NFT drop that I've seen in a very, 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 very long time. And I think there's a lot of really cool stuff we can do with it. So at the end of the day, when we do those, like what there was like 800 ETH raised when we sold them, there's also ongoing revenue that comes from morphing and from scrambling. So I think that it's like every day that number essentially goes into the DAO. And one thing that's very different about the polymorph drop as opposed to, and when I say other NFTs, I'm not talking about every single one. I'm just talking about in general, that money didn't like go back to us. It went into a DAO that our community essentially runs, and we all have to vote on this together. So like, we can't like rug or take that money out of it. And I think that's empowering in and of itself. But the point there is like, we didn't go into this with a predetermined roadmap. It's honestly up to the DAO and the community on what we ongoingly build. I mean, we do have an internal dev team. We are adding resources and designers that can work on this. So, I mean, the community will have to work with us, but I think that a lot of this will start getting cranked out in what's called a DAO first format. And so one of the I guess the final thing about Polymorphs before I stop is, I think that the polymorph community, when we launched this, I thought that the XYZ community was going to be the main people that bought polymorphs. I think that in the large part, they were probably a little bit over 50%, but there were a lot of people that didn't know what Universe, XYZ, what a DAO was, how any of this worked. And so they got very, very active in our community, and we decided to add them to the airdrop that's essentially going on with the people that stuck with us in the Discord ever since we dropped non-fungible Pepe and essentially had to pivot and rebuild everything from scratch to create an entire universe. And so Dragos was going to be on this call, but he had to take some time off. And I can discuss the airdrop dynamics, but then I want Ryan to actually discuss how like the Dr. Opium thing works. So I'm not the only one talking on this call, but I did go through with the community like an announcement because there was some backlash, not from the kind of NFT and polymorph community, but there was some backlash from the Discord community that felt like it was essentially diluting their airdrop. And so the reason that we decided to do that was that we favor community and we want to build a community. And I think we built an amazing community on top of the fact that I said that we were not dealt the best hand on this project from the beginning. There were things that went wrong and we essentially built through it and we all worked together. So when I talk about community, I almost talk about it in tiers where there's people that truly stuck around and stuck with us. And they were added to what's called a expanded airdrop, which was supposed to be an airdrop, but they just went into vesting contracts. that essentially was called community discretionary. So like it was supposed to be like 30 people originally. It ended up being like more than 100 people, like, and then even some of them were added as contributors. Some of them actually came in and put money in seed. So I think that we had like 170 something vesting contracts that were set up. And like those were the people that we thought helped the most to get us back to where we needed to be a legitimate project. And so another thing was we had like 3,000 people in the Discord. We thought that maybe like 8,000 or 2,000 of those people would have probably claimed the airdrop. It ended up being that like 300 people claimed the airdrop. And so in the original dynamics of what we talked about, that the airdrop was going to go on for 20 weeks, it actually poses a security risk to the project that there's people who kind of came in for non-fungible Pepe airdrop, left the Discord, came back 3 months later, and you can even see it in their profiles, and then they joined the new airdrop essentially. Well, but they didn't bid on an NFP. They didn't stick around and build with us through the trenches and fight with 300 and I don't even know how to say that word. And then they didn't even go and buy a polymorph, right? So like those are the people that probably feel the most shafted. But like from my perspective, those are the people that they've supported us the least of anyone on that airdrop list. And so I'm sorry if that like sucks to hear, but it is what it is. And it's a security risk for the project that us doing the airdrop with that many people, with that many tokens on that short of a time frame would actually put those people in control of the $4.5 million we raised in the seed round and the probably $2 million that Polymorphs is essentially put into the treasury. And so we have an expectation to the rest of the community, to all of the seed investors, to the people that bought Polymorphs, to the people that put up $4.5 million, to make sure that that doesn't get rugged and pulled, even though that wouldn't be our intention. So we changed the dynamic, and we've been having these conversations for weeks. We changed the dynamics of how the airdrop worked, and we added the Polymorph people, not only because we want them to be a part of our community, we did it for the long-term security of the protocol. And I think that most of the people that have been building with us along this way understood why we did it. Most of the backlash was either from people that were following loosely, or they're just in our Discord because they want to airdrop. And we're not building for those people. We're building for people that want to build with us for a long, long, long time. And that was why we changed things the way that we did. I mean, it wasn't an impulsive decision. It wasn't ill thought out. It was a result of a long time of us figuring out how we fix this other problem, that only 300 people out of 3,000 signed up for a massive chunk of what would govern money that is supposed to be going towards building this project. With that said, I do want to just stop completely talking, because other people probably want to hear someone other than me talk. But I feel like it's good if we can get Ryan to actually explain the dynamics of how Dr. Opium works, because it is not actually an airdrop. And it's same with when we drop polymorphs. It's going to be different than anything the NFT community's seen, because we bid it off of a project called Opium and edit it quite a bit. And Opium is a DeFi protocol that I doubt a lot of the NFT community knows about. So Ryan, if you can just kind of explain the dynamics, and then we'll obviously have like Medium articles and shit when it goes live.
So essentially the Dr. Opium airdrop style incentivizes people to hold on to these airdrops as long as possible. In our case, it's going to be 100 weeks. And the way you can maximize your allocation is to basically hold that airdrop and not touch it for 100 weeks. But what does it look like if you claim earlier? Essentially, on the very first day of the airdrop, you'll be able to claim roughly 1% of the full allocation that you would receive. But as you claim, the tokens you forfeit actually get redistributed to everybody else's pool. So if I claim 1,000 tokens on day one, the next person immediately after me could claim, say, 1,020, and the next person could claim 1,060, and so forth. But additionally, you don't just get tokens from other people forfeiting. Your token allocation grows linearly over time. So if you're getting 1% on the first day, maybe you get like 1.5% on the next day, and so forth across these 100 weeks. So this way, basically, there's that really cool dynamic where anyone who kind of doesn't really care too much about XYZ, just kind of wants to get their tokens out and dump them, gets a very small allocation and is able to do that very early on. And those who kind of want to support the project and eventually vote in the DAO and are in it for the long haul get the bulk of the rewards.
Brian's a lot better than me at being succinct.
If you'd like, I can also cover some auctions and mintings updates as well.
Yeah, that would help.
So auction and minting is going to be the next product that we're releasing. I can't give too much details on what exactly these auctions are going to look like, but we are really excited because they're really innovative and they're very different than a lot of the stuff we've seen before. We had a major overhaul actually of the auctions over the last few weeks, and this has kind of completed a first round of audits. It's ready to kind of make some changes that we've been working on to get it ready for the next round of audits. We've also had a lot of UI overhauls to make it as seamless as possible and as easy to both set up an auction and mint the NFTs that go into that, and also to actually bid on it and participate in the auctions themselves. What's really cool is that our minting flow that we're working on is at the moment supporting 2 different collections. So you could either mint into a universe collection, kind of like when you mint into the Rarible collection, like it's just a single NFT, or you can deploy your own collection. We're going to have different options, maybe not originally at launch, but we will support multiple different ERC 721 types, and you'll be able to choose which type of token you want to deploy. And we'll give details about which one is best for what use cases and kind of let you make an informed decision on that. But it's going to be really extensible, and it's going to cover a lot of ground that places like OpenSea and other platforms just aren't able to offer yet. And that's going to be really exciting.
I think a lot of artists have been waiting for this particular tool that Ryan's talking about too. The ability to have your own, minting contract. I think it eliminates a lot of the issues and it fixes a lot of the needs of artists in the current space right now. So I think this is something that a lot of artists have been waiting for. So the good news is that it's almost ready. We just need a little bit more time. I think one thing I would just touch up on, I'm not sure if Tyler talked about, is the actual breakdown of the new airdrops. Originally it was I think it was 6% for the Discord community, and that ended up getting split in half. So it's 3% for the Discord community, and it's 3% for the Polymorph community, and then 2% for the Pepes. The one thing that I would just, point out here is, although, anyone in the Discord that did end up that was part of that Discord airdrop that ended up buying Polymorph, you still end up getting, both airdrops. It may be a little bit less, but like how Ryan spoke about, the airdrop game theory, depending on how you play the game, this definitely can affect your allocation and what you end up with. So that is, one thing to definitely take away from this, and how you game this is going to affect your outcome, no matter what airdrop you're in, because all of them are pooled together. So like if all the Pepe bidders, leave early, that allocation gets reverted over to the other people still in the airdrop, because those tokens get forfeited when you claim early. You basically, give up whatever you don't have to claim yet. But like how Ryan was saying, you earn more basically every day. So it kind of gets to the point where everyone will have their point where they think it's either worth them to claim, or they'll stay in and think that it's worth staying in. So really it's really interesting because everyone will act differently. And we saw this in the Dr. Opium airdrop, is nobody acts the same. And that's kind of why it's so cool.
I'll also add to that that I think one of the reasons actually that some of the older OG people were the least upset by this change is we essentially diluted the pool to more people that if the biggest piece of feedback was if the polymorph people were to immediately like dump their tokens, right? Well, they're essentially going to be paying a penalty to the people that are holding long term on the project. So like, I mean, I think the most likely people to actually dump their tokens are the ones that signed up for the airdrop, left the next day, came back, signed up for the airdrop, and then got active. I mean, that's not to call out anyone in particular because I actually called out people who have been active, like Lucky Luke, and he's been extremely active. So like, I just don't want anybody to think that it was specifically who I responded to because I responded to people who I actually knew were good. But my point is, if the Discord community is right and the Polymorphs community does have weak hands and your plan was to hold long and support the project, then that's actually better for you, right? So I would just like view it as if you planned on getting something short term from us and not sticking with us long term, I don't really care. If your plan was sticking with us long term, then you're going to be rewarded. And that's really the way that you should look at it.
And another thing I think that we really want to make clear is one thing that we really didn't foresee. Like Tyler mentioned earlier on this call, like we really had thought most of the people buying these NFTs were going to be the XYZ community. And that really threw us a curveball. And we were a little blown away when this thing sold out in 30 minutes. And we really had to we figured out that it was not the XYZ community that bought the majority of them. And
I think it was. That's one thing I'd say. We haven't done that full analysis, but it doesn't include the people that were staking in the DAO. It doesn't include people that haven't claimed from their vesting contracts because they may be busy, like some of like the really big like whales. It doesn't include people that are in pool 2 and providing liquidity for the good of the project. So I think when you take into account all of those factors, I would say that it is not the way that it looks if you just run a simple wallet script on Etherscan. But with that said, let's say it's somewhere in the 40 to 60% range. We still very much grew our community with new people that are excited about Universe and XYZ that weren't there before. And they're really, at this point, the point of the airdrop is that there is a no us versus them. We're all the same people now. Like Polymorph holders are XYZ holders. And so I don't care when people came in. That's not what a DAO is supposed to be about. That like it's who got in first bullshit. It's who is coming in, providing value now, and who is helping. And that's who we need to take care of. And the Polymorph community is dope as fuck. And I want to put on for them like we have for the XYZ community. And when the DAO activates, then nobody has to put on for anybody. We all run this together, and that's the beauty of it, right? So that we're all the same now. XYZ aliens took over the planet.
I think that's the main thing to say here is there is no us and them. We're all on the same team, and Polymorphs is an XYZ drop, and it's always going to be. And we want the Polymorph community to be aligned and just as with our long-term incentives of what we want to do, and that's really is empower artists and create cool technology for the NFT community to explore and play with. Because like Tyler said on one of those Twitter spaces is like we want to build cool shit. Like we don't, we're not bashing any projects. We just, we're saying that projects aren't cool. It's just we think that, with Tyler and Troy's background in DeFi, they really think that there's more to NFTs that people are doing. And that's one thing that we really want to explore is just the cool technology of connecting these custom smart contracts to NFTs and doing cool things with them is really what we believe is what the future is. And, you know, this is just the start of some really cool, you know, technology. And we really hope that people, you know, look over our code and go try and figure out cool things to do with it. We made it open source, and we're going to continue to make cool open source tools like this, and so that people can do drops like this, and you know, we can all innovate this space together, because you know, this was just a framework. We would love this. I mean, we think that people could probably come up with some really, really cool drops with these polymorph contracts, and then you know, that's just innovation. That's how it works. Someone takes what someone does and does it a little bit better. So
Yep. Also,
um,
it's not just Tyler and Tim. This is a conglomeration of a lot of people that are excited about these, about media, about NFTs, about DeFi, about DAOs. Like we've got like the whole DMob squad that is doing a lot for Barnbridge and helped us find dev talent to do a lot of the back end DAO and yield farming, and they'll be helping long term on a lot of the scaling infrastructure. We've got Lime Chain, who, I mean, they came from BondBet and like helped. I mean, they're the ones that brought Polymorphs idea to the table and helped us build it out. We've got the whole proof system squad, which was like my group before Barnbridge. It's cranking out a ton of the design and the UX. Like Ryan came from Non-Fungible Pepe and like wanted to help us build this battle gaming stuff for it. And he's been a gem and is basically running product at this point. So like, I mean, then we've got Ali and Nick that are helping across the board. So like this is, and Tim, illustrator, I mean, he's obviously extremely excited about NFTs. He officially came out and said that he's been working behind the scenes with us for a while because he's been busting his ass on that seven grant stuff to empower artists that like all over the world, essentially, right? He's been working with like Paris Hilton. So this isn't like a Me Too NFT project. I would actually say that most of us have been working in decentralized media before a lot of the NFT communities even knew what an NFT was, right? And that's just the fact of the matter. So we're here for it and we're excited to build this, but it's definitely not just me and Troy.
yeah, it's a whole team for sure. But we all look up to Tyler and Troy at XYZ, so, and Tim. So I think that's most of everything we have. We have some community questions. I don't really know what this question's asking, but I think it's asking if we are going to be able, like what tokens are we going to be able to use on the auction place in the marketplace? Short answer is we're going to allow you to almost use any token on the marketplace. And the auctions, I believe that there's a way to add a custom token, but you're definitely going to be able to use ETH, XYZ, Bond, you know, any of these tokens you're farming with. USDC, we'll have a bunch of the, you know, easy ones already available for you, but you know, you'll be able to make a bid in almost any token is how we kind of design that. And then we have another question about if we are making an activity chart for the polymorphs and scrambling and basically like a history. We are working on this. We just need some time to get this all figured out and get it pushed live. Like Tyler said, we're going to start allocating some resources to a polymorph team. And that's going to consist of like a few devs and some artists to basically build out UI, and any future, you know, things that the DAO will propose. We'll just make sure that this team is, you know, just so we aren't like dividing all of our team already. Because it already looks like we're getting a ton of recommendations of things that we need. So I think moving some resources over to the polymorph team and creating a polymorph team is kind of where the team is at right now, and we're working on that right now. So honestly, please, ideas from the community, let us know. we're thinking about future development and stuff that we need to do for you guys to make polymorphs more fun and easier to use for everyone, and that they have all the information that they need, either buying them or scrambling them or whatever you may need information. The communities come out, and it looks like we have a few guys working on some like rarity builds, like how I think there are a few devs Ryan was saying is working on like rarity charts and trying to figure out how to pull together like a rarity tools type thing from the graph. I'm not sure what the progress is on this, but we know that we have some of the community members helping us with this.
One thing we need to bring up about that, Mark, is I think that a lot of people think that like DAOs are some revolutionary thing we made up. Like if they haven't been following DeFi and DAOs, like they're not. There's a lot of people around the world that are working on DAOs, and that's why people are expecting this to be like DAO summer. We're still, as an entire industry, figuring out like how does someone raise their hand? How do they come in and help? Like how do we truly decentralize this? So like we're not there yet, even at Universe, we're not there as an industry, but like we're working on it. So like people that are like working on those rarity tools, like if it becomes a big thing and like an ongoing thing, like we still have to have a way to like be able to vet out talent and make sure like people aren't just like if you go post a job on Upwork, you have all these people that bid on it and then they like don't do the job properly. So like, how do you essentially have a framework that you can like monitor all of these things and make sure they're getting done properly and people just aren't like siphoning off from you, but then also like, how do we let people come in and like try things out and raise their hands? And like, that's not just us figuring that out, but like, that's the kind of stuff that like DAOs look like at scale, is people coming in, helping with the rarity tools. They get a grant. We compensate them for it. And like, we're not there yet, but we're trying to get there. So like, shout out to the people that are doing that. And like, if they deliver a working product, I do think that we should like retroactively compensate them through a grant for doing that work, because we didn't have to, and we've got other shit that we're working on too. So like, that doesn't mean like we cannot handle how many things are coming in asking to work with us right now. It's a lot, right? And so I just want everybody to know, like, we want that, but we've got to put structure in place for it. But people who come in and do stuff like that, you provide value, we're going to compensate you.
Yeah. Just another comment is we are working on setting up bounty and grants program for XYZ. Me and Brian are going to be working on that over the next week. So we're going to get all that set up and probably get a Gitcoin GitHub. And you'll probably see some of that stuff, but I don't know if we have any bounties just yet, but we are setting it up for things like this, where like teams are building rarity tools. Like Tyler said, we'll want to make sure that you guys get retroactively compensated for things like that. I think that's everything for this call. I would like to shout out Algie. He's doing a polymorph giveaway on Twitter right now. So if anyone's trying to win a polymorph, there's a Twitter giveaway going around on that right now.
And Algie, explain the tweet vortex.
If you join our Discord, if you join our Discord, you can join our Discord by going to our website and scrolling to the bottom. There will be a link on the bottom of our website. In one of the channels, we're doing this tweet chain, and it's already gone pretty far. And basically it starts on Tyler's Twitter if you want to like go look at it. But if you go to the end of the tweet chain, you can like continue it. And we've basically taken over the universe, and it's because we're a bunch of aliens invading the Twitter space. But basically, yeah, if you go in our Discord, you can get involved. It's what is the thread again? It's polymorph alien follow, right?
Yeah, polymorph alien follow. And the concept is at the very end, it starts with a dude named Billy. At the very end, I'm going to retweet it from the universe like thread and put it in our announcements so that people can basically just click through and follow everyone with a polymorph avatar, and all of us can basically do it. And then we're all just squad on Twitter. So that's what we're doing.
And the polymorphs are already taking over Twitter. All I see is polymorphs.
Well, that's because we follow every single fucking one, but that's what I want. all
It's
to-
really fun too. Like there was like some funny moments last night and we were all laughing really hard. So like it's really fun if you guys get involved.
Yeah, the
Yeah, shout
memes
out to
are
Jack.
unbelievable. Ali has a meme competition going on too because of his giveaway. And the memes in that channel are unbelievable. My favorite one is the one of Anakin, and it's like, oh, I just got the double corn gun. And Patman goes, oh, so you're done scrambling now, right?
Yo, we did that for Barnbridge, and we need to keep that going. Like, we need a grants bounty for those are the best memes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so honestly, after Algae's giveaway, we'll probably end up whoever.
We need to figure out where we're holding all those memes as an old repository in some capacity. So we need to.
Yeah, and we have all.
I'll start
the old-
saving them in a folder too.
And we have all the old Barnbridge memes too. But honestly, we'll end up taking some of those memes and have our artists, rework them and maybe put them on some of the merch and stuff. But honestly, they're just amazing. But honestly, what Tyler's talking about is we have a weekly meme competition in the Barnbridge Discord that we've been doing since I think really like the second or third week of the bounty program of us starting that. We basically give away $50 to whoever has the best memes or like the most engagement. It kind of depends. Sometimes I'll do engagement. Sometimes if a meme just absolutely blows it out of the water, that one will win. But it's just a fun thing we do, and it allows people to get involved. And so after Algae's giveaway, we'll go ahead and start doing meme competitions weekly in the Discord so that everyone can like have a chance to win a little bit of USDC or ETH. I think that's everything. So thank you everyone for joining us. Hit like, subscribe, share with your friends, follow us on Twitter, buy your mom a polymorph. I'm gonna link project call in this video, and I'm gonna link the polymorph promo. If you didn't watch it, please watch it and share it. And if you haven't gotten a polymorph, try to get one. And join our Discord. Like Ali said, there's a lot of fun shit going on in the Discord, and there's a lot of fun stuff going on Twitter over the next few weeks. So make sure to follow us on Twitter and join the Discord and join the party. Thank you, everyone.